What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another Chaos Zero Nightmare video. Today's topic, let's go over account level as well as affinity levels, because my most commonly asked question has been, hey Car, how do I level as fast as possible? Can I grind it? How do I get my friendship, my trust level, the affinity up? And as you guys can see here, I am currently waiting on affinity level 10. So if you guys haven't seen this yet, there is a lot of affinity to grind, and in my opinion, I feel like Smilegate should either lower this or kind of remove it, as there's a lot of factors that can really slow certain players down, especially if you don't understand the system or don't know how to capitalize on it every single day. So that's what this video is going to be about, so you don't get trapped on the growth quest and you can progress as fast as possible. So thank you so much for tuning in. Let's go ahead and break it down right now. All right, y'all, let's first talk about account XP and how to level as fast as possible, and then we'll go into the affinity slash I believe the game sometimes also calls it trust, but the friendship essentially. So first off with XP, as you guys can see here, I'm level 44, and the major breakpoints obviously are going to be like the 10, 20, 30, and 40. One other thing, guys, there was just a recent overnight patch that added a new mode. I think you have to be 40 and higher. But if you watch any of my previous videos, I told you at level 30, you need to start prepping 2 teams. Well, there's even more reason now, as they just added this Dimensional Twilight, which just came out maybe like an hour or two ago. I think they originally unlocked this at 50, but now it unlocks, I think, at 40, right? So another reason to kind of get to 40, there's a lot of stuff to be had, and this is going to be your resources for the Zeronium shop, which has 4-star partners, as well as some of the prism lenses for your holographic or foil cards, and some undetermined ego crystals and the multi-dimensional alignment materials. I get questions asked on these too. And this is for crafting gear. Like, you can actually craft gear, and I believe you can choose the set and things like that. And then for the undetermined ego crystal, I don't know if we know exactly what this is for, but a lot of players are assuming this is for potential, as it says right here, obviously companion potential material, but we don't know which one just yet. It might be a higher level, and even like a success, you need to get like a few levels into it first. But the fact that this is on a monthly limit, and the fact that potentials in this game are a little bit time gated, as y'all can see here, there's like, the weekly boss. Let me show y'all my main as I've been working on it. This one right here, guys. Oh, you know what? We need to show you a different character because I can't see the upgrades. These materials right here, the shards of condemnation from defeating Judas, the second weekly boss, you only get 3 a week, and as y'all can see, you need 2. So just a heads up for the Zeronium shop, it might be a good idea, as if y'all are watching this video before the month ends, then you might be able to pick up an extra just in case. Who knows if it's actually worth it, but the fact that we get so much Zeronium on, I believe, a monthly basis, I'm assuming it's going to reset for the double bosses, that I think it is worth picking these up. So just an aside. All right, so let's back to the account XP real fast. We'll breeze through it real quick. So how do we level as fast as possible? There's unfortunately no way to grind outside of the daily refreshes and using the tier of gods. These are the main 2 ways. There are a few others that I'll cover, but this is really just the main way, is using your resources or your aether, aka energy. So that's how much do you want to refresh a day is going to depend. Let me show you all something here real fast. The first 2 refreshes a day cost 60 each. The next 2 after that will cost 70, and then it'll cost 100 on 6 out of 8, and then the remaining 2, as y'all can see here, very expensive, 150. So most free-to-plays and light spenders, you only want to be refreshing like 2 times, maybe 4 at most. Some of y'all maybe don't want to refresh at all. It really depends if you're able to hit a breakpoint, if you're even rushing, or if you're just playing a little more casually. Maybe you want to save all of these for summons, and that's your priority. It really depends. The next thing is the aethers, and unfortunately we don't know yet, guys, since this is such a new game, that we don't know if these are going to be like, if we should be saving them for like future events, if there's like double farm weekends. Only time will tell. So right now, honestly, I think if these will help you either, increase potential levels, get those breakpoints, get your count level up so you can do like the Zeronium farm that I just showed y'all, then maybe it is worth spending these to hit those big, level 30, level 40, etc. But ultimately, it's going to be up to you, and you guys know your count best. You guys know how much time you have in the day to play, and if you are free to play or, a spender. The next thing is we can actually get XP via chaos runs. And I think I can just show you all here. Yeah, these loot certification cards, we get these once, we refresh these, once a week. 4 of them, and we can use these after we kill chaos bosses. And you'll see like some loot pop up, and then a lot of account XP. And additionally too, just as a side, I mentioned this last video, but even when you have 0 of these, you can actually use crystals to buy the end game gear as well as the XP plus the loot, And that's what I've been doing as well. Just keep in mind you have to have some daily refreshes free in order to use the crystals. But otherwise, just use 4 a week. Try to get as far as possible as you can, your highest chaos. That way you get a little bit more value in terms of the gear quality. But ultimately, as long as you're using 4 a week, that is good enough. Last but not least, of course, are just the other areas of the game that are one-time uses. So most of y'all are already doing these. The game like kind of leads you there. Obviously doing the stories, and every time you get that level 10, 20, 30, 40, you do your promotions, right? You get unlockable stories. Make sure you guys do those. The battle missions on top of that too. Make sure y'all are getting these done. Some of them do get a little difficult. And actually, I think I might have some hard mode. Yes, I got a few more hard mode missions to do. I think I have one more that I never completed. But these will also, as you guys can see here, right, grant some XP. So just make sure you're doing these in your accounts when you can. That way you hit those breakpoints a little faster. Now, additionally, and this is going to lead us into the next part of, this also ties into the affinity portion. But I did mention previously, or at least in another video, that the No-No shop has access to the weekly limit key. And this is the special security code. And if you guys go over to the event tab, there's multiple ways to get here, but you can also get here through the therapy center. But if you guys check out where is it under? Let's see here. The trauma mode, or the flickering gleam of rusted anchor. You want to do the one for Haru, just because she's the current banner. And it's like, I think they're going to have these for every character that comes out. So next character will be Yuki. We'll have an event for her. But of course, doing these as well gives you some very nice rewards, as well as a ton of XP. So make sure y'all are doing these at the same time if you haven't already. And then additionally, that key that I just showed y'all, we can unlock Renoa's story too. And it is very long and has a crap ton of XP and resources to be had as well. So these are the main ways. There might be a few that I missed mentioning, but the most important thing is decide how much daily crystals or aether you want to spend in terms of refreshing. Make sure you utilize the coffee shop, right, in the Arc City. Everybody knows about this one, but just in case one of you out there didn't know, you can order coffee once a day for like 80 aether as well. Use the 80 instead of the 60 storing, because we don't know yet how good this is for the, these little coffee cups. But in general, just, yeah, you refresh at your own pace. Do the 4 weekly chaos, typically at the end of the week, and then do all your story and battle missions. Policies also have a slight chance of unlocking. I don't think I can show you here, but policies do have a slight chance when you do the policy office to unlock battle missions, and that'll give you like, it'll be like 1 or 2 battles that you can do for a little bit of extra account XP, but don't count on that. That's kind of a little bit more rare and niche thing that pops up here and there as an added benefit. Now let's go ahead and jump over to the affinity, the friendship, the trust. And this is where a lot of players, myself included, get bottlenecked or stuck because there's only limited ways of gathering trust. And I'm going to go over all of that right now. So once again, if you skip through the beginning of the video, I'll just show again real fast. A lot of these growth guides, you're going to be bottlenecked on the affinity, as it's just a very time gated and honestly RNG thing too. And I'll tell you why it's a little bit RNG. But there's so many of these. It's not just on this area. There's one for I think affinity trust level 7. And then, of course, before that, you got to get like level 5 and then multiple characters, I think, to like 3 or something like that. But essentially, make sure you are maximizing your affinity, as this is going to, unlock the additional quest for all these summons, all this XP crystals. It's so important. Every time I unlock this, guys, I have almost all of them done on the next step. So I think from going from 7 to 8, by the time I get to affinity level 10, I probably have finished all the other little side missions alongside it. So it's really the only thing that's holding you back from achieving the next step. So try to, stay on top of it and pay attention here, as I'm going to go over all the ways to get affinity. Now, the first and arguably most important, this is where the RNG comes in partially, is the excursions. Now, real fast, guys, these excursions I want to show y'all. Most of y'all should know this by now, but in case you don't, these excursions actually share with the, can I see? I don't think I can see the resource name, but actually, let's see. Can I see it here? Communication passes, and I'm glad I have this so I can show y'all something. These 3 communication passes, and this is, I think, a fault of the game that they need to explain better. But a lot of players weren't aware that these communication passes actually share a daily cooldown with the excursion, the dates, right? When you meet up with one of your operators, or your combatants, I should say. So the reason you want to use these instead, primarily on the excursions, which we'll go back over here. We're going to flip-flop back between the two. But the reason we want to use them here first is because, like I just showed y'all, they share. And not only that, you're going to want to get your affinity up at least on one character. I think getting them up on multiple characters is worth it. Obviously, it gives stats and things like that. And you can get some really cool like backgrounds and special effects. But instead, if you really, really need to... let's just say that the affinity is very important to hit those breakpoints, the 3, 5, 7, 10. And then additionally, if you have to desperately need to psychotherapy, get some, clear something out here. Let's say you got a save data run that you want to actually use. Then, of course, you can always just use 30 crystals, which is not too bad. But for the most part, when you don't need this, you're going to delete the memories. Now, one thing I need to show y'all here is that if I were to use Mika here and I want to spend 30 crystals, then once per day, I can get the affection. So once per day per character, you can actually have the therapy done and you'll get some affection depending on how well you score. So this is another way to get the affinity or the affection, the trust. Is make sure you do one therapy session with your main character, which pick a character and just focus on that. And whichever one is the highest affinity, that's who you're going to want to get into this psychotherapy, this trauma center once a day. Now you can do that naturally by playing, or you can force it. Let's say you have short time or you're not going to use that character in that day, but it's your highest affinity character. Then jump into a chaos mode, let them break that main character. It's a little bit RNG, you might have to restart a few times. But once they do, go ahead and do a therapy session with them, either via the tickets or the the crystals that I'm showing y'all here, and then go ahead and get that done, because once a day you can get some affinity. All right, so write that down. That's one of the ways to get affinity. Now, the other way, of course, is what I was about to talk with y'all about, and that is spending time together on these excursions. So this is where the RNG kind of kicks in. Haru, luckily, is my highest. You see here, affinity 8, but sometimes she doesn't appear in this city, and that's because you can only, until we unlock more areas, I believe it's like 1 or 2 per zone. And once you, that's going to be on a daily basis when they reset. And if you're just unlucky, let's say you have more than X amount of characters, I believe it's like more than 8, 10, whatever it is. If you have more than that many characters, then it's a random crapshoot on who appears. So keep an eye out. Try to make sure whenever your character's there, you set aside at least one excursion ticket, the communication pass, and you talk here. And try to understand your character too. I'm not sure if there's a database out yet for the right answers, but if you know, I think you can look up their backstory and their lore, and then that'll help give some insight into the correct answers, because that actually, the amount of correct answers you get will give you higher affinity. So try your best and get that. This is the main priority way. It's just a little bit RNG if you own too many characters. Now, there's 2 more ways to get affinity, and that's really it. That's why this is so important. But the other way is in the Nono's shop. You can actually grab, some gifts, and gifting is one way, and I believe this is the only way to get these besides, the random ones you get for a one time, I believe, like in the growth pass and things like that, the daily growth missions. But you can see here, I already bought them out. The slice of cakes, which cost 40 each. This gives 60 affinity, and then these sweet choconillas, I believe, give 30 each. So buy these out when you can, and there is a priority system in the shop. Get the key first, get the research notes, enough of them to get your growth mission done. I think that's around like level 3 or 4. And then you can buy the friendship gifts if you want. If that hits you a breakpoint, like getting affinity 5, 7, you might want to get those just to, start working on the next part. However, this is where it leads me to the next part of the guide, and that is the policy reports. Now, these will just give you more policies, that little stamp that you put on. And once you finish your first one, you can actually choose the 3 characters that work on the policies. So for me, I chose Haru. Obviously, she's going to be the one I'm working on the most. I chose her in my policy section. And when I add the policy here, she actually shows up 1 in 3 times. So that's another way. When she shows up and you do that policy, she'll get a little bit more affinity too. So that is one other way, if you guys want to min-max a bit, is buying these policies out. And that'll actually give you some policy, what do you call these? The policy points back. And then you can finally use those for the gifts. Now, I know that's a little bit confusing, and it's not the end of the world if you, aren't the most optimal with this. But just to recap, right? The gifts will give policy, or the gifts will give affinity, obviously. But if you want, once you start setting up your characters to work on the policies themselves, choose your highest affinity one, buy out the policy reports, and then when they show up, you will get some affinity just for completing it, just for stamping it, right? Choosing the option, and then you'll get a little kickback too, and that can also pay off some of these gifts, the weekly gifts, the sweet choconillas and the slice of cakes. So just understand that those are the main ways to recap, right? You can get some gifts. You can get the therapy center, this Epion center, by talking to your character once a day, or doing therapy once a day. Doing the excursions, you gotta get lucky and find your character. If they appear, just check every single building and see if they're in there. And then last but not least, right, the policy office. Once you have them set up, I believe in the intro one, it's just random. But you'll see once you finish your first set of policies, the next one that goes around, you'll be able to choose the 3 that work on it. So those are the main ways to get affinity. Beyond that, guys, there is no other way. That's why you want to stay on top of it. Check every single day. Try not to mess up, or, get a little lucky, I should say, and try to find those characters, as that'll kind of hamper your progress if you don't. Once again, not the end of the world, but if y'all want to stay on curve, hit those breakpoints earlier. It sucks waiting a day to do fun stuff or get some pull currency, right? So try to do those when you can. Don't let it ruin your enjoyment, but it is nice to keep in the back of your mind so that way you can play a little more efficiently. Anyways, guys, once again, as always, I'm going to shout out the live streams. Y'all been stopping by so much, especially you guys on YouTube. Thank you so much. If you have additional questions, just want to hang, I'm on for at least 8 hours a day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you so much. Peace out, everyone.